Clenching new details emerge in the horrific death of 8-year-old Robert Manwill. Cops now point to foul play and say it's murder.
Preliminary results from the autopsy give us reason to believe that 8-year-old Robert Manwill's death was not an accident. The case is now being investigated by the Boise Police Department as a homicide.
Cops still won't name any suspects or even people of interest, but many are circling back to the night little Robert went missing from his mom's apartment complex. The Idaho Statesman reports that a neighbor said she heard the mom, Melissa Jenkins, tell police she was working that night. Another neighbor said mom's boyfriend, Daniel Ehrlich Jr., who has a long rap sheet, often stayed home to care for Robert and the couple's 18-month-old son. Hold on a second. Isn't that the child whose skull the mom admits to fracturing? Up until now, we'd heard that younger child was in the care of the state. But now we're hearing these claims that the baby was back with mom. We called Child Services trying to get an explanation. They said no comment. So the big question, was mom even home that night? The night little Robert disappeared. Cops won't say, but reports reveal that the boyfriend has given conflicting accounts about the night little Robert vanished. And now, according to local affiliates, the boyfriend, is being treated at a local psychiatric care facility? Does that have anything to do with cops narrowing the field of suspects to people Robert knew? Here's the authorities' chilling statement.
There remains no evidence that Robert was abducted by a stranger.
Police have not named any suspects. It's important to stress that. Nobody is in custody. But many are now asking, where does this investigation go in the wake of all of these stunning revelations? So much to get to. Straight to my expert panel, Stacey Honowitz, Florida prosecutor. Mike Gaynor, retired NYPD detective and president of East Coast Detectives. Brian Russell, forensic psychologist and attorney. Curtis Sliwa, founder of the Guardian Angels and WABC radio talk show host, and Scott Logan, reporter with CNN affiliate KBCI in Boise. Scott, so many developments. What is the very latest? Scott?
Well, there hasn't been any word from police today regarding this investigation because they have gone off on a new footing after the announcement that this has become a homicide investigation. They were giving daily briefings to the police and to the public, and hoping to get the public's help and input, but they say not anymore. They're going to guard their words very carefully ever since they said yesterday that this is a homicide. Now remember, there was never an Amber Alert in this case because there was no evidence of abduction, and the police have now said that's true. There is no evidence of any stranger abduction in this case. Dental records positively identified the boy found in the New York Canal on Monday as the missing Robert Manwill, and this community is just waiting for the next shoe to fall, so to speak, because it's been something that really we haven't seen around here. At one point there were 2,000 workers, 2,000 searchers out looking for this boy.
All right,
so
well, you mentioned the canal, the location in the canal where this precious innocent child was found is about 15 miles from his mother's apartment complex where he vanished. Now, the Idaho Statesman says, according to a neighbor there, the mom, Melissa Jenkins, told cops she was working the night Robert vanished. The mom's boyfriend, Daniel Ehrlich Jr., who has a long rap sheet, reportedly often stayed home to care for Robert and the couple's 18-month-old son. But this guy that you're looking at has a troubled past. He has a rap sheet that includes battery, possession of drug paraphernalia. He's been barred from being around Melissa Jenkins' daughter. The Idaho Statesman also reveals that the boyfriend has given conflicting accounts about the night Robert vanished. First, he accused his own dad of taking Robert. Then he claimed Robert was in the apartment complex hot tub and pool the night the child went missing, and that a heavy-set couple invited the child to a birthday party. Now, Stacey Honowitz, you're the prosecutor. What do you make of these conflicting accounts?
Well, that's exactly what they are, conflicting accounts, which makes the police at this point want to zone in on what this guy really knows. You know, you have somebody with a horrible history, a rap sheet very long, probably associates with people that might have criminal backgrounds, and now the police officers have to remain quiet. They've made it a homicide investigation. They want to keep the facts and circumstances that they know close to the vest because they don't want people giving them information, something that they might have heard on the news that they really don't know about. That's the reason why they keep these things secret. And right now, if they have information that he's give conflicting statements, that he really gave, he said something other than what is true, they're going to investigate, and that's what they're doing now.
Curtis Lewa, one of his explanations is that there was a heavy-set couple, including a man with a mustache, who kept inviting an 8-year-old boy to a party, and that the boy, this is according to the Idaho Statesman, quoting a neighbor who said it, he heard from this boyfriend, the boy kept coming back and saying, "Can I go to the party?" Now, wouldn't common sense tell you that you'd go out there and tell that couple, "Hey, weirdos, buzz off"?
Of course, and next he'll be telling us that he's getting his messages from Charlie Manson in Corcoran State Prison in California. Let's face it, this guy has the big chief of guilty all over him.
Well,
I knew that
we can't
I
say
understand that.
Curtis.
I understand, but look at the circumstance. Here we have a case of a mother, dysfunctional herself, cracks the skull of her own stepson and isn't permitted to go near him, and then brings into the household this crazy person who has an order against him coming anywhere near the stepdaughter. And you got to say to yourself, where are the authorities who would force the father who had custody of the young boy, the 8-year-old boy, to have to give him to the mother? It's almost like guaranteeing that there would be some kind of a problem. There has to be intervention with cases so obviously dysfunctional like this.
Yeah, and actually the cops are saying it. The cops have said more, I think, than between the lines than what they've officially said, because probably to you and to me and to HLN viewers who watch the show every day, it seems to me they're really telegraphing that they believe there's caregiver complicity here. They're saying they know it's a murder and there's no evidence. They're not even investigating the possibility that somebody else abducted the child.
Yeah, well, there's always the possibility that there was somebody who knew the child who wasn't a relative. But go ahead, Mike Gaynor.
I think I have to agree with what was just said, and it's what the police didn't say that kind of shouts out a whole lot. They're saying clearly that there's no evidence or no indication of any stranger abduction. What does that lead you to believe? So they're going to examine this case from the inside out. And as Curtis said, there's no common sense in this case whatsoever.
Well, I want to debate.
Well, they also do that, James, excuse me for 1 second. They also, you know, the reasons for blurting out certain things is also to put the community on notice, because these people are freaked out. They have 2,000 volunteers. Is there somebody loose that's abducting a child? So they want to make that clear. In the investigation that we've had so far, we can tell the general public or the community there's no stranger out there that's going to pluck your kid and you know, and kill them. And that's part of the reason why they make that.
Yeah, that's a good point. That may or may not be correct, and maybe not maybe not this perpetrator, but there certainly could be others.
Exactly. It may or may not be a stranger, so that may or may not is what you have to think about. Yes, of course, like Stacy says, the police want to set the community at ease with what may be going on, and I think, rightly so, they're going to look at this case from the...
I want to talk about this whole issue of the fact that, according to the Idaho Statesman, this little child whose skull was fractured, who is now 18-month-old, the younger half-brother of Robert Manwill, this innocent child who was found in a canal. His younger half-brother, who the mom admitted, fracturing the skull. That child, we had thought up until this point, was in the care of the state. And now we're hearing from the Idaho Statesman, quote, a neighbor and friend said the boy, Aiden, had been back in their custody for about 2 months. She said the couple worked hard to meet health and welfare standards to get him back. What, Curtis Lewa? Why do they have this child back when it hasn't even been a year since the child was injured?
Oh, God, who is looking after these children? How can we put them back in the belly of the beast? The child whose skull was fractured by his own mother, in a household where the boyfriend can't even go next to the stepsister, and then a court says to the father who has custody of this 8-year-old boy, you must give him to the mother for the summer. Who is caring for these children? My God.
Brian Russell, we only have a couple of seconds, but did Child Services drop the ball here? Why is this little 18-month-old that had a fractured skull back with these people?
Yeah, the more I learn about this case, Jane, the more it seems to me like really one of the more horrendous failures of Child Protective Services that I've ever seen.
No, they made them go through some parenting classes and they gave the kid back. That's the standard protocol. That's what happened.
And a $75.50 fine. Yeah, look how well it worked. Wow. Everyone else, stay right there.